Welcome to The Trail. It's the podcast edition of Songs on the Trail.
Coming to you from Beaver Island, 32 miles in the middle of Lake Michigan. And for those not in the know, that's north of the 45th parallel.
I'm Jackson Smith.
And I'm Steve Gerbach. We're two enthusiasts for all things Michigan, music, art, and culture.
And a little bit of comedy. If you have a Michigan-connected song or story you want us to know about, send us an email at songsfromthetrail@wvbi.net or look us up on Facebook and Instagram at Songs from the Trail.
This is WVBI's own AI Kevin Boyle on this episode from January 20th, 2024. The Detroit Lions do the unthinkable. Jackson shares more snowplow memories. A controversial gas station name is due for a change. And I bring the funny.
Well, hello, folks, and welcome to another fun-filled, action-packed Songs from the Trail on a cold winter's night.
Yeah, still cold, unseasonably cold even for Michigan, and snowy too.
Yes, and we're going to definitely discuss that later in the show. The northern part of lower Michigan got pounded last week, and we got to talk about that pounding. But in other Michigan news, Steve, the unthinkable has happened. The Detroit Lions have ended a 32-year playoff drought and beat the LA Rams, featuring our former player Matthew Stafford, 24-23 in a real nail biter.
Yeah. It was a good game, man. And look, man, I've been a Detroit Lions fan all my life. They've never failed to disappoint me. I'm pretty stoked. I'm getting really stoked. Big game this weekend too, but
yeah. Tomorrow, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. See, now I have to keep up. I was a fair weather fan, I fully admit. Now I'm like keeping up on all this stuff, but
right.
No, it was just. I thought for sure, because they did really good right out of the gate. They scored a few touchdowns. And folks, this isn't a sports talk show, just so we might not be the best at talking about this. But when it got close, I thought for sure they're gonna choke.
They're gonna do the Detroit thing and the lie downs. But no, man, they kept it together, won by 1 point. Again. We're not a sports show, but it was kind of cool because for people that may not know, Detroit traded away Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff, and dude, Jared was on fire. I was really happy to see it. Yeah,
I like that. That little excerpt from the Detroit Free Press article from after the game. They booed Matthew Stafford. Boo! when he ran on the field and serenaded Jared Goff with chants of his name. And in the end, the 66,367 fans at Ford Field for the Detroit Lions' first home playoff game in 30 years were treated to an epic battle by the two protagonists in one of the most anticipated games in Lions history.
Right? What's pretty interesting about that game, Jackson, is that when they defeated the LA Rams for the first playoff win in 32 years, mind you, Ford Field hit a 133.6 decibel sound level, making it the fourth ranked loudest stadium levels of all time. That's amazing.
Jeez.
They say that the loudness was equivalent to a military jet taking off.
Oh, man, I wish I could have been there. I called my buddy, good old Joe Costanza, my good friend downstate. He was at the game, and first and foremost, he told me he drank about 500 beers, stadium beers, and that he gave about 500 strangers hugs after the win. I guess it was a real
It was sports love fest per se.
Yes, sports love fest. It was a bro down. It was a 66,000 person bro down for the Lions, and he said he had a great time, and he might have allegedly puked on the way to the next bar after the game, but that's alleged. I don't know that for certain, Steve.
Right. There's no film.
No, there's no film. Well, Steve, earlier in the show, we mentioned briefly just that northeast lower Michigan got quite the pounding of snow last week. I saw various totals. I think somebody said 3 feet in Grand Marais, though. Did you hear that?
Yeah. I got a friend, Robin Scully, who lives up in Grand Marais, and they were projecting 2 to 3 feet of snow, and I think the final tally was closer to 3 feet of snow. That's unbelievable,
man.
I love it.
Those are the type of storms we don't get in the Detroit area, because it's like the west side of the state or north of us gets them, but here I feel like it stays just a little bit too warm to get them. Though I did have a mishap during that storm, Steve.
Go on.
Well, I didn't even hear it happen, but we got some snow, and not a lot, but it was heavy enough where some tree branches were coming down, and a lot of wind, like 50-mile-an-hour wind gust. And I go outside to find a tree branch right through the front windshield of my big gray van that some people on the island may remember, the one that Bronte had drawn a
artwork. The artwork.
Yeah, some artwork on. Yeah, some wonderful artwork.
Well, you know what? We should, if possible, post pictures of the before and after. Before the storm, and after the storm, pictures of the gray van.
Oh yes,
know what we're talking about.
yeah. No, it was pretty intense, because I saw the branch like sitting on the windshield, and I thought it was just like sitting on the windshield. So I went to pull the branch out, and it wasn't coming out, and I heard the sound of glass crunching, and I just went, uh-oh.
Oh no.
And I opened up the door and looked inside, and it was like if that happened while I was driving, it'd be like some Final Destination type thing, but because it was right in the driver's sight line, so I had to.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, insurance. That insurance I pay all that money for, that Michigan overpriced insurance, actually covered it. So. Well,
but you're right, man. We don't get the snowstorms like we used to. There was one. Maybe you remember this, Jackson. Maybe not. Back in the blizzard of 1978, by the way.
I don't remember that one, Steve.
Remember.
What was the world like back then?
Dude, I know, right? It's a little colder this time of the year, but seriously, I do remember that storm. It was funny. It was a 3-day storm, and I think in Grand Rapids, I think they got like 19-inch. Flint had 10 inches of snow. Detroit, 8.5. Doesn't sound like a lot, but man, that messes a lot of stuff up. Well, okay, this past week, how much snow did we get this past week? Not a lot, right?
No, not at all.
And where I'm at in Manchester, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, school's canceled.
Yeah. Yes.
What do we get? 3 or 4 inches of snow, something like that?
Yeah. I mean, they tried to say it was because of the cold, but I mean, gosh, when I was a kid, cold didn't stop school from being open.
No, Ma just, maybe made you wear some long underwear and an extra scarf or something, man. No, it had nothing to do with cold.
Yeah. Geez. I mean, I woke up the other morning. It was -5, and I was like, "Oh man, we haven't had temperatures like that in quite a long time."
I'm sorry, I love it. I have a wood burning fireplace here, with a cast iron fireplace. I love it. Just you get a fire going and turn on the Detroit Lions and maybe a little glass of bourbon.
Yeah,
have a good time.
That's all you need. I was teasing some friends of mine from down south, because I don't know if you saw, for whatever reason, it doesn't even make sense to me, but I guess in some parts of the Nashville metro area, they got 10 inches.
For our friends, our listeners in Australia, hey, Nashville is what, about 10 hours away from us?
Yeah, about that
South?
8 to 10 south, and they well, the thing that cracks me up though is Tennessee is not equipped to deal with snow and ice whatsoever. No, it's because one, nobody knows how to drive in that stuff down there, and then two, I had heard this before, but they only have 4 plows, like the bigger ones, like we have all over the place here for the whole state.
Right. Huh?
That's what I was told. They have, and I believe it because in the past I was told that Georgia only had 2.
That doesn't surprise me. I have my sister-in-law. Hi, Jean. She lives down in South Carolina, and it's kind of funny. She's still a Michigan girl, and when it gets a little cold down there, like I don't know, into the 40s, people it cracks her up because people break out the parkas and.
Oh, I know. Be in a t-shirt and shorts.
Right. I've said it before, man. It's like, 35 degrees Fahrenheit is really, that's not cold to me. It's just not cold to me.
No.
No.
You
get below 0 and then you throw a wind chill factor where, like you say, you're, 2 to 20 degrees below 0. That's cold.
It's funny. I actually have a going back. I don't know if we want to do 2 snowplow stories in a row, Steve, but I actually have a cold, extreme cold story from 20-ish years ago.
Is this featuring Jackson Smith?
This is featuring Jackson Smith in his plowing days, a long time ago.
Yes, we want to hear. Of course, we want to hear it.
So
go.
There was this. We were in the midst of a storm, and it was really bad, like particularly bad. It was one of those ones where you end up having to do the whole route twice. And you're working
right.
like 15, 20 hours. It was brutal because city plow guys have a limit on how long they can be out plowing, but private company plow guys, if the route takes you 40 hours, it takes you 40 hours. It's horrible. But we were out and we had this church. I haven't been over there in a while. It's there. If Mount Elliott and Kercheval in Detroit, we did this whole church complex. And we're in the midst of this really bad storm, and it was easily like 15 to 20 below, brutal wind chill. It was brutal. And I was always dressed appropriately. Like I had some, I had big fur hat and one of those one piece, like Alaskan pipeline suits and things. So it was cold, but I was okay. But I was out, shoveling, and, I had a bit of a runny nose that night. And I remember I look up and one of my coworkers was like, "Oh, dude, you got like a snot sickle on your mustache." I was like, "Oh, really?" And I went to grab it because I figured I could just break off the snots. The whole section of mustache just broke off.
Oh, come on!
And then I had a reverse Adolf. And then, they're laughing their butts off. I had to work. Probably worked another 10 hours like that.
Right. And did that little spot get super cold?
Oh yeah. Oh yes, it did. Yes, it did. But as soon as I got home, though, I got out the razor and just cut the whole thing off and started over. But it was, that same church. I don't want to get on a tangent, Steve, but that same church, though, I had another incident there. During a storm. That was the account I almost got robbed on, carjacked at in the middle of the night. That was what? Yeah. So I was driving one of the trucks, and it was all full of bags of salt, and I was distributing the bags of salt to the sidewalk crews.
Okay.
So I go to get back in, and all of a sudden this black Mustang pulls up kind of sideways in the middle of Kercheval, and I look and I see they're waving a gun at me. So so I'm thinking,
pulled up to see what's going on.
Yeah, they just want to see what's going on. Yeah, maybe if you shoot the snow, it'll go away faster. But it was coming down snow, and the first thing I'm thinking, I'm like, they're driving a Mustang. I got 4-wheel drive. They're never gonna catch me. So I I ducked down and just gunned it around them. And I peeked back up in my rear view, and they were trying to turn around and come after me, but they were just spinning out, and they couldn't get any traction. So I quick zoomed around. I went back and gathered up my crew. I was like, guys, let's come back to this later. And like I told them what happened. I think we went to Burger King for a little break.
Yeah, to settle down a little bit.
Yeah, no, it was a little scary, but yeah, we came back and the ruffians had left, but Snowplow Stories of Jackson Smith, everybody.
There it is.
Speaking of trouble, Steve, I think we saw an article that might get us in some trouble if we're not careful here.
You think so? You think so? Oh, God, I'm so excited.
Well, shall I read the headline? Yeah. And just...
You should probably lead it off.
Well, just to preface, folks, because depending on what part of the country you're in, you may not realize this is a real place we're talking about. Keep that in mind, but the article starts out... Is Come and Go leaving West Michigan due to their controversial name?
Yeah, and Come spelled K-U-M for those interested. But
yeah. And I think trying to be a shortened term for C-O-M-E, just to be clear. Right.
You can't tell me you've seen the Come and Go sign on 54th Street and over in Granville without giggling to yourself at least once. While the chain got its name in the much more innocent 1950s, the company has always leaned into their controversial name.
Yes, I'll say. Oh my gosh, I like on their. There's a nice picture of the front of one of their stores on their Come and Go Instagram, serving immaculate vibes since 1959. Indeed.
But before long, you may no longer see Come and Go signs around West Michigan, and it's all because of those immature brains we all have. Here at Songs from the Trail. In 2023, a company called Maverick bought out the Iowa-based gas station and convenience store chain.
And while leaning into their somewhat dirty name, Maverick sees how inappropriate the name can seem, so they're changing it. Oh, the heartbreak. I can't believe it. Oh, jeez.
Right.
According to a report from The Drive, FJ Management, the owners of Maverick Stores, man, well, look at the corporate structure here, not to get all weird and sidetracked, but it was bought by Maverick and then the owners of Maverick, blah, 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 blah. All right. The owners of Maverick Stores said they were only going to rebrand the stores in their area, but at the end of last year, the tone changed, and according to a source from the company, they know we're laughing at the name, and they're sick of it. Oh man, like scorned lovers.
Right?
Always coming and going.
Yeah. Quote, I think there was some concern about the inadvertent double entendre of the Come and Go name. If you're growing cross-regionally.
Growing, really?
Which brandy... Right. Which brand do you think will have more appeal to a new audience? Maverick or Come and Go? No disrespect to Come and Go, but the answer is pretty clear. End quote. Come on.
I disagree personally.
I do too. Are you kidding me?
I think Maverick is very forgettable. But you
100%.
You never forget. You never forget your first Come and Go. The gas station, of course.
Right. But I love one of the X, the X, formerly Twitter, replies to Come and Go. Somebody had said, "Sometimes I wish you'd come and stay."
I love that they retweeted that. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Well, while they think the name is goofy, it seems to have worked for the gas station chain. In fact, they've always leaned into how silly Come and Go is with their social media posts. I'm referring to
the gas station.
Yeah. But there's no word on when Come and Go stations in Grand Rapids will go the way of Maverick name, but it seems otherwise the stores will remain unchanged. So enjoy your giggles as you drive by while you can, because the Come and Go brand is likely to go away soon. Oh, that's terrible,
Boo.
Steve. Boo.
I know, because you know why? The pumps are still going to stay.
Yeah. Oh, they needed a pump, huh? Jeez. I mean, of course, because it's a gas station. Yeah,
of course,
okay,
they got a lot of them. They're lined up. The pumps are lined up out there.
Oh man, and there's everyone coming and going. Jeez.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think Maverick's making a big mistake, dude.
probably had to come and go because they got gas in the middle, right? It's embarrassing. Oh, jeez, Louise.
God, I love it.
That probably got, you might have heard a bleep just now, folks. There's a good reason for that.
This should be a good time to talk about our podcast, right, Jackson? Because, you know, there's we have a place where we're storing some of our podcasts, and we were just informed by our legal team that some of the things we put up on the podcast, which we felt were a little bit, how would you say? Salty?
Yeah, a little bit of well, it depends on the diet, but eating too many Hungry Mans. but yeah, no, I mean, I do think this will still be censored appropriately, but yeah,
right.
no, we were informed. You may have seen a recent post on our social media. We now have full episodes. What a segment to segue into this from, Steve.
Right.
Jeez Louise.
Right.
But
well, the people would come and go right over to that podcast site.
yeah. Well, you may, yes, exactly. Well, but yes, you may have seen a recent social media post. Songs from the Trail is now available in full-length episode form, unedited, for up to 2 weeks after air date on the WVBI podcast page. And then we had been putting, we're calling them From the Trail podcast edition episodes on our podcast feed, which you can find the links in our about sections of our Instagram and Facebook pages. But now, with the approval of the powers that be, real Kevin Boyle, and
the real one,
the real one, not the AI Kevin Boyle, had said we could start putting the From the Trail podcast editions of our shows also on the WVBI podcast player, and those are fun because they're condensed. Obviously, they're little 20 to 30 minute, generally 20 to 30 minute tidbits of what our show is, and we do get to leave WVBI exclusive music as well as Manchester Underground live audio on there. So there still is, on certain episodes, some music to be heard, but the full-length episodes, you either got to listen live at Saturdays at 7 p.m. on WVBI.net or 100.1 WVBI, the voice of Beaver Island. Oh my gosh. I'm out of breath, Steve.
Take your breath, man.
Yeah, but yeah, you'll be able to hear them full-length episodes for up to 2 weeks from the air date.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
And that was right from the horse's mouth. Kevin, who happens to be a listener of the show.
Yeah, yes, a faithful. Still suspicious that another one of the higher ups only maybe occasionally listens, but we'll keep that to ourselves.
Right.
Well, Steve, I think we are almost at the end of the show here, but we got something special to go out with. Our own real Kevin Boyle had sent along some material for the show. Unfortunately, he couldn't record it for us, so I think his stand-in, AI Kevin Boyle, might deliver some jokes, courtesy of real Kevin Boyle.
Here's today's bad joke. It's so cold out, Miley Cyrus got stuck on her wrecking ball. Ponder that for a moment.
Well, Jackson, we are at the end of our show, but we'd like to remind the listeners that on the radio version of Songs from the Trail, we listen to some great Michigan music. And for a list of that music that was originally played on this episode, please check this episode's description for the links.
We love hearing from our listeners. If you have a great Michigan song or Michigan-connected story you think we should know about, Steve, how do the listeners get a hold of us?
You can look us up on the social media sites of Facebook and Instagram at Songs from the Trail. On the social media sites of Facebook and Instagram, you can look us up at Songs from the Trail. You can send us an email at songsfromthetrail@wvbi.net or call us anytime because we would love to hear from you at 231-268-4799.
To the listeners out there, we'll see you on the next episode. And to you, Steve, I'll see you on down the trail.
Adios.